All right, everybody. Welcome to the next edition of the Mark You Down for a Cup of Joe podcast. I'm Mark.
And this is Joe.
And we're ready to do some NFL pick'ems today. But before we do that, really haven't had the opportunity to talk to you much today. Joe, how's your day going, man?
Well, Mark, I'm not gonna lie, this day hasn't been very good. This whole week actually hasn't been very good since we last recorded.
Why is that, Joseph?
Well, something's haunting me, Mark. I don't know why. Every time I close my eyes, every time I have a moment of peace, the number 63 suddenly just flashes into my mind. And I am reminded that the Dolphins left tackle is still in the NFL.
Oh, man. That's a spicy take coming after Michael Dieter, the rookie guard, hot and heavy. Okay, well, let's just say on the off chance that Michael Dieter right now is listening to this podcast, what message do you have for him?
Good sir, make some adjustments. That's all I have to say. To adjust for the speed rush, man.
Yeah, Robert Quinn definitely beat this guy like a drum. If he is listening, we've got some clout. But, I don't think it's necessarily the smartest thing to call out an offensive lineman on our podcast, a 300-pound guy. But I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, nor am I going to tell, Michael Dieter how to live his. So we're just going to move on and then hope for some better football, better blocking. And hopefully we can find this on Thursday Night Football, where we have the LA Rams traveling to Seattle to take on them Hawks. And Joseph, who do you have in this game?
Ooh, well, before we start talking about this, Mark, I think we should give an update of the status of our pick'ems.
Oh, man, we literally do it right before we tally it up, and then I always forget. I just jump right into the picks, forget to give the update.
This is the most exciting part of the pod, so I don't blame you for forgetting some of these things.
All right, Joseph. Well,
as most of the viewers know, last week we only had two picks that were different. It was the Minnesota Vikings and Chicago Bears on the Monday night game, the Cincinnati Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Mark, I hate to say it, but you bested me in those two games. I picked wrong. I suffered the defeat this week, bringing my record to 25-22. I think I went 6-9 this past week in the pick'ems. It was a rough week for Joe over here.
Yeah, I mean, I think this week was nothing short of a disaster for the both of us. I don't know, picking half of NFL games seems like it'd be okay because we were both around half, but I went 8-7. But it really didn't feel like a victory because a lot of these games we had picked previously felt really good about those picks, I would say. I think we thought we had a pretty good handle on NFL Week 4, but a bunch of teams came out, pulled out victories that we didn't expect, chiefly for me, the Raiders. I don't know how that happened. Tampa Bay just whooping up on them Rams. Games like that just kind of happened all week last week. So that'll bring my record to 27-20, and you are 25-22. Am I correct on that one?
Yes. So you have the up on me for just a little bit. We'll see how things shake up after this week of pick'ems. But this isn't going to be an easy week too. Just looking at these games, there were quite a few where I was torn between these two teams. So this week could be another spicy and potentially disastrous week for the Mark You Down and Joe for a couple of podcasts and their weekly pick'ems.
Yeah, I feel like though since last week we felt like we had a pretty good handle on it, and there's no real good way to say this. We bombed. We tanked. I feel like this might be the opposite, where we might not necessarily know exactly what's going to happen, but we're going to end up picking right anyway. So hopefully we can get that and, make our pick'ems look a little bit better. But, to all you listeners out there, hopefully you do not take any gambling advice from our pick'ems because you'll probably lose quite a bit of money. And we aren't even talking about spreads. So that would make it even worse. But anyways, let's dive right into it. Let's revert back, try to refocus on the Thursday night game, prime time, LA Rams in Seattle against the Seahawks. Joseph, who do you have in this one?
This was one of the easy ones for me. I'm taking the Seattle Seahawks at home against the Los Angeles Rams. I think Russell Wilson, you've mentioned it a couple of times, and I have to agree with it, Mark, that he is having a quietly MVP type like season. He's thrown for, I think, 8 touchdowns for maybe 2 interceptions. His passer rating's up there. I don't know the exact number, but I know it's really high. His completion percentage is good. The offensive line is, I won't say it's great, but it's better than the offensive lines he's had the past few years. He has a couple of really good weapons out there. He has Tyler Lockett, who's playing really well this year, and the defense is playing fantastic. Pete Carroll said that this group of linebackers that he has, KJ Wright, and all the other guys out there, is the best core of linebackers that he had. So they're on sync as a team, and they are playing at home, and they are very, very scary to play at home. I think Russell Wilson in their past 11 home games or so, something around there, they've gone undefeated. So I'm taking the Seattle Seahawks this week, Mark.
Yeah, you and me both. And just to kind of do some housekeeping on this one, I pulled up Russell Wilson's stats for this year. He has 1,141 passing yards, 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So he is playing exceptional football. Their team is 3-1, and yeah, I'm taking the Seattle Seahawks as well. And I love Russell Wilson. I love that team at home. That defense is going to be ready to play against his division rival, and I think Jared Goff got exposed quite a bit yesterday. Sunday against Tampa. He had to drop back and throw 50-something times. Actually, I think it was 63 times, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Just throwing the ball a ton. Not really much to show for it. 2 touchdowns, 3 picks against a pretty good Tampa defense, but this is a whole different ball game going into Seattle. I look for Seattle to take away the run and ask Jared Goff to beat them, and I don't think he's going to deliver. I think we're going to have a struggling Jared Goff game, and Rams fans are going to be very concerned. Give me the Seahawks at home, and not even necessarily a close game either. So is there anything else you want to add about this game, Joseph?
I can't think of one. I think this is going to be a big divisional game for the NFC West. If the Seahawks win and the Niners lose, things are going to be shaken up at first place.
Yeah, absolutely. I will agree with that one. But anyways, let's move on to the next
Another
game.
NFC West team.
Another NFC West team, a bunch of animals who may be, hurting a little bit right now. We've got the Arizona Cardinals, who are winless but don't have all their, they are also in the tie column. And we have the 0-4 Bengals at home. So, Joseph, who are you taking in this one?
This actually was a really tough one for me because both of these teams just don't excite me very much. But I'm going to have to go with the Cincinnati Bengals in this one. And it comes down to the fact that I like some of the weapons that Cincinnati has a little bit better. And I like Andy Dalton a little bit better than Kyler Murray this year. I know both teams have their struggles, but the Bengals this year, they've gotten blown out twice, but they have played 2 very competitive games this year. While with the Cardinals, we've seen them play competitive their first week, but after that, it seems like it's just started to go downhill a little bit. So the Bengals are at home. I think they're gonna win this one. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be a pretty game. I think it's gonna be kind of ugly. I think we're gonna see lots of punts down. I think we're gonna see both offensive struggles, but I think the Bengals are gonna take this one at home.
Yeah, you and me are both in agreement here. I take the Bengals at home simply because they are at home. Nothing really that the Bengals do make me feel confident about this game because John Ross is going to be out. They don't have A.J. Green. There's really no weapons there. And, I think right now Kyler Murray might be slightly better than Andy Dalton, but to me it's kind of a wash because Kyler is a rookie. Hasn't been able to win a game in the NFL yet, so he hasn't, really proven that he knows how to win. So, just give me, I guess, Andy Dalton's experience over Arizona. This one I don't see being an exciting game, and it wouldn't surprise me if Arizona pulled this one out on the road. So, yeah, give me the Bengals at home. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's it, Mark. I got nothing.
All right, perfect. Joseph, you want to lead us with our next matchup?
All right, we have the Buffalo Bills and the Tennessee Titans. And you know what, Mark? I'm curious to see who you have in this game. This is
Well,
another
so
one that I was thinking about.
this one was really tough. Mostly because I don't know. So I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans because I don't know what's going to happen with Josh Allen. As y'all know, he suffered this big hit against the Patriots. I forget who laid the hit, but it was a pretty big hit, and it gave him a concussion. And he's still in concussion protocol right now. His status is up in the air for Sunday. I mean, it's Wednesday at this point. If he's ruled out from practice Thursday, I have to imagine it's a long shot he plays on Sunday. So without Josh Allen, I don't even know who their backup quarterback is currently. Maybe Tyree Jackson, the undrafted rookie. If that's the case, he's really raw.
Isn't it?
Give
Isn't it Matt Barkley?
maybe Matt Barkley, which doesn't make me feel that much better either. I like the Bills' defense, but I'm just gonna, Mariota's gonna have one drive too many for this Bills' defense without Josh Allen. Give me the Titans at home.
And me and you are on the same page on this one, Mark. I have the Titans winning this one too. And you mentioned a lot of the same reasons. I think this is going to be a really low-scoring game because the Bills' defense is that good. But they're just not going to be able to move the ball. Even with Josh Allen, they were struggling to move the ball, and I don't think Matt Barkley is that much better. But I think we could potentially see a really big game out of Derrick Henry. I think he may be the key in this game. The Bills' defense has been fantastic this year. I think we can say they're arguably the best defense this year in the NFL. But they have struggled a little bit. They have struggled a little bit against opposing running backs. So if Derrick Henry can have a big game, I think they'll be able to do enough to win at home.
Yeah, and I think a key with that is them missing Josh Allen. Maybe they won't be able to get a few first downs here and there, and that defense won't get that opportunity to rest. I know Tennessee's going to keep pounding the football, and throughout the course of the game, it'll probably wear out that Buffalo defense, and they'll be able to take control of this one at home. So yeah, you and me are both on the same page. Isn't that crazy? We're both picking. Audience, I promise we are not telling each other what we're picking beforehand. This is just. We're very synchronized here. We agree on a lot of things, and we're going to move on to our next game. Joseph, we have Chicago at Oakland, but not in Oakland. It's going to be in London. We all know the Raiders always lose a home game every year. Blah, blah, blah. But Joseph, who do you have in this one?
As much as it pains me to do this, I can't believe I'm about to do this, Mark. I can't believe it, but but the Bears are unfortunately gonna win this one. As much as it pains me to say, the Raiders are on a ridiculous road trip right now. I don't think their next home game is until November.
Yeah, you're right on that.
Which is ridiculous. So they're gonna be fatigued. They're gonna be a little out of it. They started off hot last week against the Colts, but then just went cold after that. They put up 21 points real fast, and then nothing after that against Colts defense that I won't say is a pushover, but it's nothing like the defense they're going to be facing in London against the Chicago Bears. And Chase Daniels was able to move the ball a little bit, and we've seen the Raiders defense struggle a little bit this year. So I think the Bears are going to go into London and take care of business. I don't know how. I'm not going to say this is going to be a blowout type of game, but the Chicago Bears are, they're going to end up winning this one, unfortunately.
Well, Joseph, I disagree with you here.
Oh.
Because I have the Chicago Bears blowing out the Raiders in London, and here's why. You think John Gruden's screen offense is going to work any iota against this Bears scary defense, probably the best defense in the league? No, I just don't see it. I see a lot of plays where John Gruden tries to establish the run, gets stuffed, tries to run again on second down, gets stuffed, and then Derek Carr checks down on third. I mean, Khalil Mack might have the game of his career. I know he's been excited to play the Raiders. all, when he got the opportunity, and this is going to be it. And I know him and Derek are friends. He's going to want to show up Derek. He's going to want to show up the Raiders. Joseph, I'm going to set the over-under for Khalil Mack and sacks. I'm going to set it at 2.5. Are you taking the over or the under?
Ooh, I'm gonna take the over. I'm gonna say he gets 3.
Yeah, I think he gets 4. So, I mean, that's not a winning formula for this Raiders team. I think we're going to get slammed. I think, we're just going to get beat into the pavement. And I think this might be the game where John Gruden realizes Derek Carr isn't his quarterback. So we both agree on the pick. I just think it's going to be a blowout. I've seen enough from this Raiders team, going against a Kansas City defense that isn't nearly as good and only being able to put up 10 points and not able to move the ball. And Derek didn't look great. Yeah, this is going to be a whooping. So is there anything else you want to add to this game? Were you shocked by my pick a little bit?
I won't say shocked. You had me worried there for a second. I thought you were going to be picking the Raiders. I thought we were going to be different again. This is just surprising me how we're in sync with everything, Mark.
Yeah. And let me tell you, this was not one I had to think about much. This was one I looked Chicago, Oakland, and I just picked Chicago immediately. But anyways, let's move on to the next game. Joseph, do you want to lead us off with this one?
Yes, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and at the New Orleans Saints at the Dome. And this is one that I actually thought about for a long time. This was a little bit of a trickier one for me. I was really torn between these two teams, but I think I'm going to have to go with the New Orleans Saints at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Their offense hasn't been super pretty the past few weeks, but it's done enough to get them wins. They haven't been pretty wins, but they're still wins. And they showed us last week, their defense at least showed us that they can stop a very high-powered offense in the Dallas Cowboys. They shut down Ezekiel Elliott. Dak Prescott wasn't able to do anything all game. And they're going up against Jameis Winston, who has been playing really well these past few weeks, but I still don't trust him just yet. I still think he's going to make a couple of crappy interceptions late in the game or even early in the game. He could end up throwing 3 interceptions in the first quarter for all we know. That wouldn't surprise me, and that could put them out of this game. So give me the New Orleans Saints at home.
Joseph, you talked a lot about trust and the lack thereof in Jameis Winston, but I'm going to put it on a positive note with these New Orleans Saints. I've overlooked the Saints the past few weeks without Drew Brees. And all they've done in the past couple weeks is go on the road and beat a very good Seattle team and then go on the road and beat a very good Dallas team. I'm done doubting these New Orleans Saints. I don't care if Drew Brees is there or not. These New Orleans Saints are a Super Bowl team to me. They have that much talent on the defensive side of the ball. Alvin Kamara is a difference maker. Michael Thomas is a difference maker. That offensive line has played pretty well. And you know what? All they need Teddy Bridgewater to do is manage the game and not lose it for them. So in that, I'm going to take the New Orleans Saints at home. I'm done doubting them. I'm done picking against them every week just because they don't have Drew Brees. They have proven to me over the past couple of weeks beating 2 very, very good teams that they're a force in the NFC, and they're going to be there at the end with or without Drew Brees.
All right.
Yeah.
We're on the same page again.
We're on the same page, but let me just point out, we still haven't had a differing opinion, different pick, but this might change with the next game, Joseph, because we have those Minnesota Vikings going to New York to take on the football Giants. So, Joseph, you have the floor. Who are you picking?
This may be a little bit of a surprise. I'm not sure, but I'm going to be taking the New York Giants at home. I've liked what I've seen out of Daniel Jones so far. He hasn't played like an absolute superstar, but he hasn't played bad. He's been able to bring alive that offense a little bit. Wayne Gallman, he's stepped up. He's replaced Saquon Barkley. He had a nice game this past week. I know he had 120 total yards of offense, 6 receptions. I know he had a couple of touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
So he's filling in nicely for Saquon Barkley while they wait for him. And just that team seems to have changed a little bit ever since they benched Eli Manning. And this Viking team they're struggling a little little bit. The defense is playing okay, but it's really the offense that has me worried. You got Adam Thielen calling out his starting quarterback, telling him to throw the ball down the field. So it seems to be that there are some chemistry issues going on there. Maybe there's people kind of against Kirk Cousins right now in that locker room, and looks like the Vikings have some hard times going on right now. They're going through some difficulties. So I'm going to take the New York Giants in this one.
Okay, I'm taking the Minnesota Vikings. I know that this whole Adam Thielen thing and, the locker room doesn't believe in Kirk Cousins, but Daniel Jones, this is your welcome to the NFL game. Yeah, you've had a nice game, really nice game against Tampa Bay. You had an okay game against those Redskins, but this is some big boy defense you're going up against, led by Harrison Smith, their linebacking core, their front seven. I mean, this is just going to be a stout defense. Xavier Rhodes, this is going to be his welcome to the NFL moment, and I think he's going to get knocked around and not have as much success. So even though they're at home, I'm going to take the Vikings, just based off of that defense, really making it tough for the rookie quarterback, and somewhat close game. I think not too big. It's not going to be a blowout, but it's not going to be the closest of games this week. So give me those Minnesota Vikings. Joseph, we have our first difference of opinion. So let's see if we get any more. I think this is going to be really interesting. But is there anything else you want to add about this game?
We covered everything, Mark. I think some Vikings are going to be sending some Vikings are going Giants hunting. Hopefully those Giants can just squash those Vikings.
Honestly, isn't this basically like a Skyrim, like right now? I mean, because, you're playing in Skyrim, you're the Nord or the Viking kind of guy, and you go up to those Giants, and, either you're going to take them out real quick, or this Giant's going to smash you and send you 8,000 feet flying in the air. So this is going to be a good marquee matchup.
Let's hope for the last thing you said, the 8,000 feet. For my weekly pick'em sakes.
Let's see Cousin get thrown in the air by 8,000 feet.
But this game this week should I think be. I think this week this next game that we're about to talk to should be a fairly easy one, and that's the New York Jets going to Philadelphia to play the Eagles. And Mark, this week I have the Philadelphia Eagles taking care of business at home. This isn't a Jets team that impresses me. We still don't know if Sam Darnold's going to play. And if he doesn't play, I don't know who's going to go play quarterback for him. Probably just some guy they find off the street who can throw a football. That would be my guess.
The pizza delivery guy, maybe.
Just the pizza delivery guy. If they're having pizza delivered, if they're having pizza delivered to them, this is an NFL team we're talking about. I'm gonna question their strategy there, their nutrition. Maybe that's why they're a little slow on the field, slowed down by all that pizza they're eating.
What if the delivery guy is Peyton Manning? Is this a sneaky come out of retirement game with his Papa John's delivery?
So that would be quite a saucy take right there.
Saucy. Yeah, you know what? This could be the game, because there were rumors back in the day. I remember before he went to Denver that the Jets were one of his teams. So maybe he decides that he wants to come back and does it through the Papa John's. I don't know. This is always a possibility. So we'll keep our eyes out for that one. Joseph will be all over that story.
All right, and that may be the only chance the Jets have of winning this game against Philadelphia. They're going to the city of brotherly love, and frankly, I know the Eagles' record may not show it, but they have played really good football this year. And this game against the Green Bay Packers, I think, kind of showed everybody that they are still a legit football team. They moved the ball really, really well against the Packers. They got the run game going, and Carson Wentz, he didn't put up the numbers. He didn't throw for 300 yards or 4 or 5 touchdowns like we're used to seeing with NFL quarterbacks right now, but he got the job done. He made the throws that he had to, and he looked really good. And I think they're just going to go in and I just don't see I just don't think the Jets are going to be able to keep up with this team. And to keep it simple, I just think the Eagles are a much, much, much better football team. So I'm going to go with them this week.
Yeah, I'm going to trade the New York slices of pizza, New York slice, and I'm taking the Philly cheesesteaks, man. Like, if we're doing football teams and food power rankings this week, I'm going with the Eagles. Philly, you covered it. They're a much better team all around, pretty much everywhere. I can't, maybe the Jets' defensive line is somewhat comparable, but they're a much better football team all around. And you know what? Come talk to me, Jets, when Sam Darnold isn't out with mono. How about that? And then maybe I'll actually take you seriously. So give me Philly in a landslide at home. Yeah. Anything else you want to say about this game?
I think we're good. Now I want a Philly
All right.
cheesesteak.
Oh, man, that sounded really good. That one time we went to Jersey Mike's and had those really good Philly cheesesteaks.
Those were superb. If I may do a shout out to Jersey Mike's, I don't get anything for this, but they got some nice cheesesteaks over there. I'd go check it out if I were you, listeners.
Perfect. Well, let's move on before we get too much into this food thing. We got our next matchup, the Baltimore Ravens at the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, Joseph, take the floor. Who do you have?
I know we talked down a lot on them these past few weeks, Mark. I know we labeled them the dumpster fire of the year, but I am going to be taking the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game.
Whoa.
I think something that people haven't noticed, and I don't think I really noticed this before, is that the Steelers have a very, very, very good pass rush that isn't being noticed. They got Cameron Hayward and TJ Watt, who are both having not just good years, they're both having fantastic years. These are career years they're having right now. And last year, they led the league in sacks. They led or tied the league in sacks. So even last year, they were a good pass rushing team. And I think this year, they may even lead the league in sacks. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that one. I'm not 100% sure. I think I read something about that. And they showed, and granted, it was against the Bengals, but they did show that they could move the ball and put some points up on the board. And with what I've seen the past few weeks in the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, what's happened when he's gone up against some more talented defenses. I think the Ravens are going to struggle to move the ball and really get any rhythm going on offense, especially with this strong Steelers pass rush. So give me the Steelers at home this week.
This is another one where we disagree, Joseph. I'm going to be taking the Baltimore Ravens in this one. And you brought up a lot of good points. Me a little bit nervous with this pick. There are things I did think about, but I think this more comes down to I think the Ravens are going to respond positively from their defeat at the hands of the Cleveland Browns. Lamar Jackson has been criticized a little bit, or critiqued, you could say, over the past couple of weeks, not looking too great of a quarterback, but I think this is one of those games where he's going to come ready to play and he's going to be locked and loaded. And the Baltimore Ravens might jump out to an early lead, and I don't think Pittsburgh's really going to be good playing from behind, even if it is at home. I see the Ravens jumping out to a 10-point lead, and Pittsburgh's going to be fighting all the rest of the game because I like that Baltimore Ravens defense. I think they're pretty good, not as good as the Steelers, but I mean Mason Rudolph, I think is going to have a little bit tough of a time, and they're going to take away the run, and they're going to ask Mason to win the game. I don't think it's going to happen. So give me the Baltimore Ravens on the road in a grind it out, punch you in the face, classic AFC North rivalry game. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a sneaky good game.
I have to agree with you there.
But perfect, Joseph.
But unfortunately,
anything else?
I can't think of anything. I think I'm good there, Mark. But I was just about to say, I mean, do we even need to talk about this next game? New England at Washington? I mean, I'm going to assume that we're both on the same page here, that we're both taking New England, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I'm not even gonna get into any football analysis, but here's my 2 points, and then you can say whatever you want. When your head coach is being questioned, when there's rumors about him getting fired, and I get an article on my Bleacher Report saying Jay could join John Gruden in Oakland if he's fired, that doesn't bode well for you. And then when, Dwayne Haskins, the rookie quarterback, in his second start goes up, against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick's defense, more importantly, that doesn't bode well for you. I'm taking the New England Patriots in a landslide victory.
I have to agree, and I'm just going to keep it simple. The Patriots are the better football team. They have a man named Tom Brady playing quarterback for them, and the Redskins have just not been able to do anything on offense, and they haven't faced anything as. I mean, the Patriots' defense this year is really, really good. I don't think that's getting the credit it deserves this year. They're playing
like one
fantastic.
touchdown this year, I think. I think they've only allowed one touchdown this year. It's insane.
Yes, and granted, they have played some weak offenses, but despite that, this is 4 weeks in, and you've only allowed one touchdown. That's still something to congratulate them for. So I'm going to be taking the New England Patriots in this one. And I did read something earlier today, Mark. I think this is just a sign of what's going on in Washington. Jay Gruden apparently has no plan for this week going into hosting the New England Patriots. So it looks like they're waving the white flag already, just saying, have mercy on us, Bill.
Yeah, I saw that report too, and that's just obviously, Jay Gruden just sees that. He's done.
You know what?
You know what I mean?
Come on, Jay.
He's done.
Yeah, it just makes you want to. Go ahead.
I think he's getting, this is probably the last week he's with the team. Honestly, would you be surprised if Jay Gruden gets fired Friday, and then they go in with an interim head coach, that should try to play New England 2 days later? I could see something crazy like that happening. That's just coming out and publicly saying something like that. That's kind of what it means, isn't it?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I think we're starting to see Jay Gruden just, he doesn't really give a crap right now because he knows he's gone. How about this take right here? What if Jay Gruden wants to get out of Washington and go coach with John? So he's sabotaging himself a little bit. There's a hot take for you.
I think his coaching with the Redskins has done plenty to sabotage his relationship with that organization.
This is just the cherry on the top.
This is just the cherry on the top. I had one more comment. He reminds me of Chuck Pagano towards the end of his Colts career, where he got up to the podium and he was just, incoherent banter. When reporters would ask him questions. That's kind of what it's sounding like right now. Chuck Pagano, everyone thought he was going senile. I think he just knew he was done. Same thing with Jay Gruden, man. But I just want to see this dumpster fire unfurl. I think the details whenever this comes out is going to be hilarious. And I'm sorry for sacking on your team, Redskins fans, but it is what it is. That's the situation that's going on right now. So let's move on before we're
going to be traveling back to the, early history of Americans. We're going to have some, men with guns going after them Redskins.
Oh,
I'm sorry to those.
You made this football podcast way more controversial than it ever needed to be, Joseph. I hope you. I'm sorry. I hope you just apologize to the audience real fast.
I'm sorry, good people, for my insensitive joke, for my insensitive comment about the good Native American people. Let's move on before I go too far.
Perfect. Last thing I'm going to say, before we move on, last thing I'm going to say, there are some cold potatoes up in Washington. And that's all I have to say about that. Ooh. But yes, continue, Joseph. What were you saying?
We're going to have a battle between two types of cats this week. We got the Jaguars and the Panthers. This is going to be a...
what's funny is that the Jaguars and Panthers are almost the same animal. I'm pretty sure they are. I think I've done research on this. A puma is a black jaguar, and so is a panther, obviously. So, it's these wildcats going up against each other. So it's kind of redundant this week. But anyways, continue. What were you saying?
Yeah, you say that, and I think both of these teams are fairly similar football teams.
Who?
They both have good defenses this year. They both have um, they both have a couple of quarterbacks in there who, Kyle Allen's played well. Gardner Minshew has taken the NFL by storm with his Uncle Rico-like appearance and his,
Throwing footballs over.
I'm not gonna lie, Mark. I gotta give props to the man. That is a very nice mustache. Takes a special man to pull off that look, and he's doing a nice job. But before that goes any farther, I'm going to be taking the Gardner Minshew-led Jaguars this week on the road against the Carolina Panthers. He has impressed me every week that I've seen him play. I'm not going to say he's a superstar in the NFL, but he's been playing well. He has been giving his team chances to win the game. He's made plays when he's had to, and I think the biggest thing is he hasn't made any big mistakes yet. He hasn't screwed his team over with an interception, with last-minute turnovers. He's been playing well. And this Carolina team has me a little concerned. Kyle Allen has given them a little bit of life, I think. But this past week, I know he struggled a little bit. And I think they're going to struggle to move the ball this week against the Jaguars defense. I think we could see the Jaguars loading the box a little bit, focusing on stopping the run and just saying to Kyle Allen, here, you go beat Jalen Ramsey in our secondary. So I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars this week.
Yeah, just a little side note. I don't think Jalen Ramsey's going to play, just from all reports.
Not?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure he's just not participating in practices at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of a weird stalemate between him and the organization. He wants to be traded. They don't want to trade him. Weird stuff going on. But here's another side note. Very interesting that you bring up very similar teams between these two. Obviously, they're both, the same animal basically for their mascot, so you got that going. Very similar defenses, not like the most dominant, but not like the most horrible defenses out there. They both have starting quarterbacks that were injured, They both have rookie quarterbacks starting in their stead that are later round picks. And here's the other kicker. Both of the running backs were both top 10 picks in the same draft. Leonard Fournette and Christian McCaffrey. So this is a very, very interesting matchup. They're just so similar in so many different ways. But I'm going to go with them Jacksonville Jaguars as well. I like Gardner Minshew, I think, more at this point than I like Kyle Allen. And, I really like this matchup between Leonard Fournette and that Carolina defense. I think he's going to grind him out. He's more the type of runner who's going to wear a defense out and just hit him in the mouth time after time after time. And I think that's just going to get it done, even so on the road. So you and me are both in agreement there. Though I think it's a big Christian McCaffrey game. They do have a lot of speed in Jacksonville, so it would be kind of difficult for him to get going maybe. Yeah, just give me the Jaguars, and Minshew magic I think is going to continue here.
Ooh, here's a question, Mark. Do you think Gardner Minshew can throw a football a country mile?
I think he can throw a football over the mountains.
Oh,
just like old Uncle Rico. Maybe pick up a piece of meat off the steak and throw it at someone on the road who's biking by. I don't know, just like in the Napoleon Dynamite movie. But Gardner Minshew might have some tapes of himself throwing footballs in his backyard, and maybe that's enough to get it done this week against the Carolina Panthers. I mean, he might take state this week, so. And I'm done with the Napoleon Dynamite jokes.
Let's move on, Mark.
You want to add? Let's move on. That's a great idea. Okay. Joseph, we've got... Go for it.
Go ahead. I insist.
Okay.
Good sir.
Yeah, we've got the Atlanta Falcons at the Houston Texans. Joseph, who do you got in this matchup?
I'm going to take the Houston Texans in this matchup. And I think this could turn into a decent matchup. I think. I like the offensive firepower on both teams. Both of them have, both teams have good quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson and Matt Ryan, and both of them have, two of the arguably you can make a case for Julio Jones and DeAndre Hopkins as the best receiver in the league. So
Mhm.
this could be I think this has the potential, I think, to turn into an offensive shootout. But I think the Houston Texans are going to come away with this one. The Atlanta Falcons have lost a couple of key pieces on defense. I know. Oh, the name is slipping. Keanu Neal. They just lost him for the season. And their offense has struggled to get going early in games this week. They seem to be a little bit out of sync. And I trust the Houston Texans to come out and play strong. I think their defense is just going to come and punch these guys in the mouth, and the offense is going to take care of business. So give me the Houston Texans at home.
Yeah. Joseph, you know how kind of earlier I was saying I'm done doubting New Orleans? Well, I'm going to take that and flip that. I'm done believing in Atlanta. I've picked them for the past few weeks. I believed in Matt Ryan, that offense to really put up a lot of points, and they've done okay. But that defense I thought was going to be better than it was. But you know what? They just don't have the horses, and they've been losing a lot of games that I think they should be winning. So, give me Houston. I know they didn't look great. They did lose to Carolina last week. I think we have a bounce back game from Deshaun at home, and I'm done believing in the Atlanta Falcons. I'm done. Show me you can win a game, and maybe I'll pick you in our pick'ems. But you and me both in agreement there. But Joseph, question for you on this one. Do you see this being a huge day for Deshaun Watson, and maybe he comes out and he wins this game at home? We could legitimately see him in the MVP race.
Ooh, I'll say yes. I do think so because he has played well this year. I know this past week he didn't do much against the Panthers, but if he can come out and play well, if he can throw 3-4 touchdowns and lead us him to victory, let's put him in the MVP conversation. He has the talent.
All right, perfect. I feel the same way. You know, I think he has a big game, and his team improves to I think 3-2. Yeah, I think he's in the legitimate MVP discussion, especially if he's getting beat up. And what? There's no other better defense really this week for him to go up against in Atlanta. I think they're gonna not roll over, but give him a bunch of points, bunch of opportunities. So both of us, Houston. Let's move on to the next matchup: Denver at LA. Joseph, I think we have a pretty
Ooh.
good idea where this one's going. Who are you picking?
I'm going to be taking the Los Angeles Chargers at home against the Denver Broncos, or should we say the Denver? Do we even want to call them Broncos the way they're playing, or should we
Over
call
here
them
in
little?
Raider Nation, we call them the Denver Donkeys, so you are more than free to call them that.
I don't think I'll go that far since I don't have the immense hatred towards the Broncos. In fact, my mom is a Broncos fan, so I think if she heard me say something like that, I might get a shoe thrown at my head. So I'm gonna
Horseshoe.
a horseshoe, ho ho, uh, potentially. So I think I'm gonna tread in the safe waters and stick to the Broncos. Anyways, um, the Broncos these past few weeks they have just not. I don't know what to think of them. They've had moments where they've played really well. The offense has looked good for a little bit. I know last week against the Jaguars, they were looking really good. Joe Flacco was playing excellent. And then towards the end of the first half, he had an interception, and just after that, nothing. The offense really struggled to get the ball going, and the defense gave up 20 points to Gardner Minshew and the Jaguars, which led to the Broncos' loss. And they're not getting an easy challenge this week against the Chargers. Phillip Rivers is playing good football, and he has a whole bunch of weapons to throw to. He has Keenan Allen out there. He has, we'll see if Melvin Gordon plays this week. I'm not sure if he is, but if not, Austin Eckler and the other guys who are in the backfield, they've played well for him. So I think the Broncos are going to struggle to put up points and keep up with this Chargers offense. So give me the Chargers. Give me them Bolts.
Yeah, the Denver Donkeys aren't keeping up with these Chargers. This might be the game. I think we should be on some Elway watch because I could totally picture Elway up in the booth, watching Denver just kind of get the crap kicked out of him. And, maybe he's slipping a little drink out of a flask, and we'll see if he develops cirrhosis because of this, because I think his job is on the line. I mean, at the end of the year, they might be handing out pink slips, and the owner might go, "This one's for John," and he's out of the building. So, yeah, this Denver team is not good. I mean, I know they believed in Flacco. I don't know why. That defense is nowhere near what it should
And
be.
they lost,
And you
and
know
they just
what?
lost Nick Chubb.
Yeah, they lost Bradley Chubb, and you know
Bradley Chubb,
what?
excuse me, Bradley.
I would be really worried if I was Vic Fangio, because his calling card is being like an elite defensive coach, and we haven't seen anywhere near that. So, potentially, in my mind, Vic Fangio might be a coach on the hot seat, depending on
Ooh,
how the
one and
rest of
done.
this year goes. One and done. Because I mean, if Elway's gone, what's saving Vic Fangio's job? He could be out just as quickly, because he hasn't
Ooh.
showed much. So, yeah, give me the Chargers, and not a close one. And for a lot of the reasons you mentioned, plus at home, yeah, this is a team that might win one or two games this year, Denver. So, give me the Chargers. But anyways, anything else you want to add to that one?
I don't think so. Let's move on to this next game. I'm excited for this one, Mark.
All right, Joseph. Well, let's let you lead us off. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna lead us off. We've got the Green Bay Packers, the Go Pack Go, versus them boys in Dallas. The Dallas Cowboys, obviously, and the Green Bay Packers suffering some losses last week, looking to get their season back on track. Joseph, who do you have in this matchup?
We all know who I'm taking in this matchup. We're going to be taking them Packers. These Cowboys are about to have a little bit more cheese than they can handle, Mark.
Oh man.
Both of these teams are good football teams, I think. And something, and this isn't me being biased, but the Packers against the Eagles, they did lose, but the offense looked so much better than it had in the first few weeks. Aaron Rodgers threw for 400 plus yards. He threw for 2 touchdowns. And other than that last minute interception, was really having a good game. And that was without any sort of running game at all. This week they'll have Aaron Jones. He'll be there. They'll have their backup running back in there. I forget his name. He was their third stringer. Jamal Williams, I don't think is cleared to play yet. And the defense has played really well this week. And the Cowboys, we just saw what happened when they went up against a good team. I know everybody was getting hyped up on them a little bit, and I still think they're a Super Bowl caliber type of team. But, the Saints shut them down a little bit. I think the Saints exposed them a little bit. They were able to shut down Dak Prescott. They were able to get a little pressure on him. And it looks like the Cowboys just lost Tyron Smith, their star offensive tackle. So I think that'll help the Packers get even more pressure on Dak Prescott and cause more problems. And let's just go back to history, to the past few years when Aaron Rodgers has gone into Cowboy Stadium. He's been unstoppable there. So give me a piece of that cheese. Give me them Packers.
Yeah, Joseph. Well, Cowboys over here, they're out in the Wild West, and they have 6 shooters, right? Well, you want to know what the Packers are packing? They're packing a cannon, and that cannon is Aaron Rodgers. Give me him on the road against those Dallas Cowboys. And look, I think this is going to be a great game. Great game, really close game. But
The past few times they've played, they have been. It just seems like every time these two teams play, it's always a memorable game.
yeah, no, I agree with you there. And you know what? I think Dak's going to have a great game. But I think in a shootout, I'm taking Aaron Rodgers. And I think that's more likely what this game is going to be. I don't think that Packers defense is as good as that Saints defense. So the Cowboys might have a little bit easier of a time scoring. And that Packers defense did get exposed a little bit last week. I think the Cowboys have the weapons to take advantage. Give me a shootout, even though it's at home. Yeah, like we saw what happened last time that Aaron Rodgers was in Dallas, for the playoff game, the shootout. He won. It was a very close game. But you know what? I believe in number 12. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks I have ever seen. Give me him in Dallas. So,
Amen.
Aaron Rodgers. What was that?
Amen.
Oh, amen. All right, perfect. Nothing else to add with this game for me. What about you, Joseph?
Let's move on, Mark. I'm just excited to see, these Cowboys choke on some cheese this week. So,
Well,
let's move on to.
let's not misconstrue that one. Let's move on to our next matchup. Who do we got, Joseph, headlining Sunday Night Football?
We got the Indianapolis Colts going to Kansas City to play them Chiefs. And I think this could be this could turn into a pretty good game, I think. I like both of these teams. I like the Colts and the Chiefs, but I like the Chiefs more this week. I think they are going to come and take care of business at home against the Colts. And it just comes down to Patrick Mahomes. He is on a completely different level than Jacoby Brissett. And that offense is super, super explosive. I think the Colts are going to have a hard time handling that and containing that. I think it shows something. I know the Chiefs' offense is always focused on Patrick Mahomes. That's all we hear, and it should be like that. But I think they showed us something last week where they were still able to drop 30-plus points without Patrick Mahomes throwing a single touchdown. So they have legitimate playmakers on that offense, and that's going to create problems for Indianapolis this week. So I'm taking the Chiefs this week.
This has the potential to be a very good game, but this is how I see the game going. See a very tightly contested game, scores very close, maybe within 4 points for most of the game. Then midway through the third quarter, I think the Colts are going to run out of talent, and I think Kansas City is going to go on a crazy run. I think late and then a basketball run, because that's what the city does. Is they're that good, man. They're playing basketball with their points while everyone else is playing a field goal, and then they'll come back with 2 or 3 touchdowns out of nowhere. This Colts defense, especially after watching them against the Raiders, is not special. They're not going to be able to slow down this Chiefs offense very much. Yeah, and Kansas City's at home, prime time. Patrick Mahomes might throw for 5 touchdowns, and I'm not exaggerating. This might be that type of game for them. So give me Kansas City in a blowout towards the end, but kind of a close game, towards maybe midway through it. So is there anything you want to add into this game?
I got nothing. Let's move on. Let's go to our Monday night game.
All right, Monday Night Football. We've got a marquee matchup between, Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns going into San Francisco, taking on the Niners with Jimmy G. So, Jimmy G, interesting storyline, potentially was a Brown a long time ago. The Browns offered some trade compensation to the Patriots for him. Well, no, he's a Niner now, and now these guys are going head-to-head. So, Joseph, what is your evaluation, and who do you have in this game?
I have marked down the San Francisco 49ers. Last week, the Browns' offense showed some life. It showed that something changed. Baker Mayfield had a much better game. They got Jarvis Landry involved. Nick Chubb had a fantastic game with, I think, 180 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. So they showed some life right there, but I'm not quite sold on this team just yet, just based on what I saw the first 3 weeks. And San Francisco is coming off of a bye, so they're well rested. They've had lots of time to prepare for this game. And they have played good football so far this season. The defense has looked solid. Jimmy Garoppolo has started to pick up his play a little bit. They've started to get some production out of their running backs, that backfield committee led by Matt Breida, if I'm not mispronouncing his name.
That's right.
And they have a couple of nice little weapons over there on San Francisco. So I think they're going to take care of business at home. Give me them Niners.
Yeah. You and I are both going to agree again. I know it's super bland, but we have very similar football minds, I would say. Give me the Niners at home, and I think this matchup comes down to the Niners front seven versus Baker Mayfield and that offensive line. Baker Mayfield, as we kind of talked previously, I think he's had some confidence issues. He's, looking a little bit more timid, and he was able to kind of build a good week last week because they ran the ball. I don't think it's going to be that easy this week. And I don't think having confidence concerns is really going to help you out when you're going up against a pass rush like this with Nick Bosa, DeForest Buckner, Derek Armstead. Just a really stout front seven, I would say. So, give me the Niners in a somewhat close game, maybe like I don't know, a touchdown. But being at home with the bye and that pass rush is, I think, the difference for me in this game. So give me them. Joseph, anything else you want to add with this matchup?
The Niners are going to go find some gold this week.
They're going to go find some gold. Digging
Yeah.
in the brown earth, man. Digging in the brown earth somehow. So that's our loose connection there. But Joseph, anyways, let's do a quick recap of our picks this week. Okay, so let's mark who's different in this one. So I have the Minnesota Vikings. You have the New York Jets, and
No,
then
I
the
have the
other pick.
Eagles.
Excuse me. Minnesota Vikings, New York Giants, not Jets.
Yes.
So I have the Vikings. You have the Giants.
Yes. Then we
And
differed in Baltimore. Baltimore, I believe.
Baltimore. Yep, another Pittsburgh game we differ in. So I have Baltimore on the road, and you have Pittsburgh at home. Kind of interesting because I took both of the home teams last week. You took both of the road teams, I believe, that we differed on. So, role reversal here. Let's see how this one works out. Maybe we'll end up tied again. I really hope not, because I mean that kind of defeats the purpose of all this.
This could be the week I need. We have two different teams. This could get us tied back to first place, Mark. So,
Yeah.
watch out this week.
I am. I'm going to be watching out for those games, and if I build another 2-game lead, it's going to be really hard to come back. But we shall see how this goes. I think the problem is that we think very similarly about a lot of things. So with our picks, it's like there isn't too much opportunity to build a lead. So, once you get it, hopefully you can hang on to it. So perfect. We'll let you guys know. We'll update that next time on our next Pick'ems episode. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you like the content. Let us, share us with your friends. I mean, just something to listen to on your way to work or while you're doing some desk work or whatever it is. But anyways, we're gonna sign off. This has been Mark.
This has been Joe.
And you guys have a great rest of your day.